Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So it's time for the end necklace. So I've been working on this for a while and this is what I came up with. So here are the earrings. Just wanted to pull out some of the pieces, and here's the bracelet, which of course I'm not done with yet. And now here is the necklace. So I want to take it off the form and show it to you. This is what it looks like. So this necklace can be very sort of vintage and sort of ornate, kind of like this one, or you can go with something a little more simple and modern, like this one. So the base for this necklace is the Elizabeth I bracelet, and the base for this one is the companion bracelet or companion necklace. So the stitch is exactly the same. It's modified right angle weave, only I've just put on a different color sequence of beads, so it makes it look like this, with bicones on the outside, pearls on the inside, pearls on the outside, bicones on the inside. Just a little different. So if you look this way, so this is what it looks like before you embellish it. Same exact stitch, which is so much fun because you can actually do so many color combinations and it looks different each time. So this one I went a little crazy and I put drops around it. Looks so pretty on the neck. If you're really into vintage, sort of, royal type of jewelry, it's just so pretty. Just a couple of ideas. So here's this is the Isabella necklace, and let's say you didn't want to put the drops on. What if you just if you want to go really ornate, and if the right color, of course, you can put a giant crystal on the bottom. The same with this one. Let's say you want a little bit, you don't want it plain, you want a little more dressy, you can put, this is the Isabella necklace also, so that I'll link that down below. Or let's say you want to put something a little bit smaller on, you can do something like that. So lots of options here that you can play with, so you can go really simple. So there are stops along the way where you can just go simple, add another layer, add some drops, add a crystal. So lots of options with this one. All right, so I'm going to stop talking, clear this off, and get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you need some 4mm bicones, some 4mm pearls. You'll need the SS39 or 8mm, 8.2mm, whatever size, in that range of Chaton, and as I said, an equivalent to an SS39. Here's a little drop bead, if you can use drop beads. This is a Briolette. The hole goes this way. You can use this one. These little pear drops where the hole goes vertically. You'll need these true 2mm fire polish beads. Now these are important because regular 2mm fire polish beads can be anywhere from 2mm to almost 3mm. True 2s, I think they're called true 2s because they are truly 2mm, and this is a perfect fit for the necklace. You don't want to be fighting with a bead that's almost 3mm in a 2mm space. So I would highly recommend that you get a bag of these. You get 600 in a bag. I don't think it's that expensive. $12, $10. You get a coupon code, you wait till the sale comes. They're really great to have in your stash. You only need like one bag, and you can just add it whenever you need it. So I really highly recommend you use these instead of fighting with something else. You'll need a 3mm bugle bead. You need a stop bead. I'll popped that there because I forgot to put my stop bead there. Here's a 2-strand box clasp. I happen to like this clasp. I use it all the time because I like it for anything vintage because it looks like it goes with this, 15/0 seed beads, 11/0 seed beads, size 11 and 12 beading needle, 8-pound fire line. I'm using black satin. I've had some questions about it. You don't have to use black satin. Use the regular 8-pound fire line. It's just that it comes off on my hands, the color. So the black satin doesn't. No matter what I do with the other, it just comes off. So I use this, and I have no problem with this. You can use 6-pound regular fire line or 8-pound regular fire line. That's fine. I think wildfire might be a little too thick. We're going through these beads a lot. So you need a thread that's a little bit thinner that you can kind of weave around a little bit with. All right, so let's see what else. I think that's about it. So again, don't forget Ringberry's Matte, 10% off coupon code, Bronzepony 10. No more Oops bead tray, link down below. All sizes, colors, shapes, amounts, places to purchase, everything you need for the pieces I've done here. So it will be this one, the black one, and the colors I use on on the video. I will link down below if you are interested in those beads. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So first you have to decide which necklace you're going to use. So this necklace is the, as I said in the intro, the Elizabeth I bracelet in necklace form, and this is the one we're going to do today. If you want to do this one, a little more casual, I think, a little more, maybe a little more modern, or less vintage, right? This is the companion necklace, which I have a video for, and I will link in the description box below, right down there, so that you can go to that video and make this necklace exactly as I make it on that video. And then come back when we do the embellishment on the top here. So I will put a timestamp in where we start doing the Chaton, so you can just pop over to that area, or you can just fast forward it. All right, so choose one. Thread your needle with about maybe 5.5, 6 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead. You can leave about a 12 to 14 inch tail, because we're going to make this part of the necklace. But what I did here, so that you can adjust the sizing, is I changed the end. I did pearls on the end, so right angle weave units with pearls, and I did it with bicones on this one. So very forgiving. You can make this part as big as you want or as small as you want. You can go all the way around if you want. So very easy to size this. All right, so you're going to pick up and drop down to your stop bead. 1 pearl, 1 bicone, and 2 pearls. And let me move a little of this out of the way. Pull in a little bit, just the lights. Okay, just like this. I'm going to sew this into a circle by sewing through all the beads again. So up through the first bead after the stop bead, and then I'm going to just go around again just to reinforce. Just like that. So I just want you to be exiting this pearl right here. So you have 3 pearls on the outside and a bicone. So I'm just going to let you get to that point, and then we'll continue. Okay, let's continue. So let's add another unit on. So I'm picking up a 2mm fire polish, a pearl, a bicone, and a pearl. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this bicone. Going to kind of pull my thread just slightly in this direction. I'm going to totally skip that 2mm and sew through the pearl. See what happens? Gives me a nice little unit with the fire polish in between. Fire polish, pearl, bicone, pearl. Exiting here. Sew through the bicone, like that. Pull a little in this direction, skip the 2mm and sew right through the pearl. You see how that thread is kind of moving its way in the back there? Make sure you pull it, tight. You don't have to, super tight, but enough so that you don't have any thread showing. 2mm pearl, bicone, pearl, and again, sewing through this one, skipping the 2mm fire polish, sewing through the pearl. And if it gets a little loose, you can kind of pull, loosen it up a little more and then pull until you have, until it looks nice and straight. Let's do it one more time. 2mm pearl, bicone, pearl, exiting here, sew through the bicone. Sometimes I just pull that working thread from the bottom there. Pull a little bit in this direction, skipping the 2mm, sewing through the pearl. Okay, so this is what I have. This is what you're going to do all the way down. Now you'll need to, adjust it to see how it fits around your neck. But like I said, it's very, very forgiving. You want to make sure that you have an even number of pearls on the bottom. I just want that netting to go on so that everything, you know, the netting fits properly. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 pearls on the bottom so far, odd number. I want an even number, but I want your very last unit to make that even number to be a fire polish and 3 pearls. I just want to make this end look like this end. So I have a fire polish and 3 pearls, exiting here. I'm going to sew through the bicone, skipping the 2 millimeter, sewing through the pearl. So now when I count my bottom units, I'm just counting the pearls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. Of course, you're going to have more than that. You're going to have probably 60 or 62 or whatever, however long you want to make it. And then, like I said, you can always add these ends on. So get all your units done. Get a whole, you know, all the way around. You want to make sure you count and you have an odd number to almost end with, but you're going to end with these 3, putting on the 3 pearls at the end. So you're going to end up with an even number of pearls on the bottom. So everything is nice and it looks the same on both ends. Okay, so get that done and then come on back and we'll continue back. So I'm doing a mini and I just wanted to do the end with you. So I'm counting my pearls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I have 15 so far. My 16th pearl unit is going to have 3 pearls at the end. So pick up a 2 millimeter and 3 pearls. Like that. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this guy. And skip the 2 millimeter, sew through the pearl. And this is what I have. Okay? So now I want you to just sew through, just with your needle and thread, this pearl and this pearl. So I just wanted to do that with you, just in case I, you know, wasn't as clear on the previous clip. So you're going to be exiting. So here's my piece, and I'm going to, it's big enough that you'll be able to see how nice it's going to curve. So I'm exiting this pearl right here. So just get to that point, and then we'll continue. So I'm just holding it in my hand now, just so it's easy for me to sew. So I've moved around these units here, and I'm exiting the pearl. So I'm going to pick up 1 bicone and 2 pearls. And that's all, just the bicone and 2 pearls. I'm exiting here. I'm just going to sew through the other side of the pearl I'm exiting. Like that. See how it's making that unit exactly like the previous one. Then I'm going to pick up an 11/0. So again, we're not using the 2 millimeters now, we're using 11/0. Exiting this pearl, we're going to just sew right up through the pearl right above it. So popping an 11/0 here, there, that's what's going to make this curve. And then we're going to pick up one bicone. Sorry, I had to look at my notes for a second. 1 bicone and 1 pearl. Okay, so exiting this pearl. Now we're going to sew on the diagonal. We're going to sew through this bicone down here. We're going to skip that 11/0 and sew up through the pearl. It looks weird when you do it, but it'll fit beautifully. So just like this. Okay. Then we're going to pick up an 11/0. I'm going to sew through the pearl right above, just like we did previously. And then I'm going to pick up 1 bicone and 1 pearl. And do the same thing. We're going to sew through this bead and this bead. So sew through this bicone, this pearl, and you can always give it a little pull like that. That's our next unit. Do that one more time. Pick up an 11/0. Sew through the next pearl right above us. Pick up a bicone and a pearl. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this bicone and this pearl, sort of on the diagonal. You can give this a little pull if you like, and then just pop that into place. This is what we're going to do all the way down to the end, and of course the last sequence of beads we put on is going to be 3 pearls. So we're going to, but I'll just do the end with you. So excuse me, 2 pearls. So just sew down to the end and just before the end, and then come on back and I'll put on the last unit with you. We're back, so here at the end, just to get the end the same as the other end, instead of picking up a bicone and a pearl, I'm picking up 2 pearls, sewing through this guy, sew through the bicone, skipping the 11-0, up through this pearl, sew through this one, like that, and this one. Okay, so here's what it looks like so far. So I'm just going to let you get to that point, and then we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So here we have our nice curve going, but we have to add an 11-0 all the way down here to get the curve perfect. So picking up an 11-0. So if you still have thread left over, and you probably will, you might have enough to go all the way around your necklace. If you don't, you just have to add thread. And I always link my adding thread video down in the description box below the video because it's so easy and it doesn't really stop you for very long from beading. So picking up an 11-0, if you have the thread, keep going this way, putting an 11-0 in between each pearl. This is going to pull it in. Like that. All right, so as I pull, and I'm just pulling it snug so no thread is showing, see how I'm getting a really nice curve, and that's going to happen all the way down. So you're just going to keep doing this till you get to the end, and then we're going to, we're just going to sort of end the thread and leave a tail. We're going to stop using this thread. We're going to leave a tail so that if, you can add the other side, the extension on the other side. So I'll just meet you down there and we'll do that. Okay, coming down to the end. So I've added my 11-0s and I'm, giving it a little pull so it curves. It's going to curve automatically because this bead is smaller than this bead, so it's going to pull everything together. So here I'm putting on the last 11-0 right here. Give it a pull. Then you're going to pick up another 11-0. Sew through this one. Coming around. Picking up another 11-0. Sewing through this one. So I'm just going to put some 11-0s at the end here. Pick up another 11-0 and sew through this one, and you can go down a little bit if you like, just to, or actually I don't want you to do that, I just want you to sew through that one. Let me get it back here and get my thread out. Okay, here we go. See, sometimes I make mistakes. I usually memorize all my my patterns. This one I had memorized, but for some reason I have to keep looking back at my notes. So here I have a thread here and I have a thread here. You can actually take this thread and so exiting here and just do a little right angle weave moving through the thread, through the piece like this. So I just want to get to the other side. I'm just going through the beads, not the 11-0s in the middle, but now I'm just going to make a turn here and go up through all these beads. Including that 11-0, like that. And then I'm going to put this thread aside, and I'm going to use it, as I said, to add on my little pearl extensions. And then come on back, so get to this point, then come on back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I have this one end completed. So now I want you to take your stop bead off the other end. So we had that long tail. And I just want you to do the same thing to this side. I want you to add an 11-0 in between these pearls. So we're set up for doing our next step. So picking up an 11-0, another 11-0, picking up 11-0. This one, and you can do the same thing on this side that you did on the other side. Remember, we snaked around, so it was coming out here, so we're ready to put on so we have these ends aside and they're ready to add the extender on if you want. All right, so snake your way around, come out of this 11-0 and then come on back and we'll start the netting. Okay, we're back. So now we're going to start the netting. So here's my piece. I have my 2 long threads. They're about 12 to 14 inches each. These are going to be for later, so we have that all set up. Thread your needle with about, if you can do it, 5.5, 6 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead in the middle. So we're going to use this one thread to do both sides. So I'm just going to sew through. So here's one end. I'm going to sew through this middle seed bead until my stop bead hits it. And then I'm going to just take the part with the stop bead and hold it, and just keep it aside. I know they have a few threads coming out, but I just really like having my threads available to me later if possible. So here are my threads at the end. Just to avoid tangling, I kind of hold them with my thumb like that, or my forefinger behind my work. Now we're going to start the netting. So you're going to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads. You're exiting this 11-0. You're going to sew through this 11-0 on the side. Just like that. Going to pick up 4 11-0s. Going to sew through this one in the middle. So we're going to be zigzagging with this one thread, and then we're going to meet it with the other thread. We're going to zigzag the other way with the other thread. So 4 11-0s through this guy. 4 11-0s through this one. Like that. Now with the bracelet we did 5, and the reason you did 5 with the bracelet is because you had 2mm fire polish at either end, so it made it, the width a little larger, so you put 5 beads. But we're going to work that out for the necklace, when we put the Chatons on, and you'll see how easy it's going to be. So we're just doing 4 11-0s, and we're just zigzagging down. So it will be, the other thread will be going this way. So we have this little netting. So just keep doing this all the way down until you get to the end, and then maybe back down there, and we'll start the other side of the netting. Okay, coming down to the end. So here I'm exiting the 2mm fire polish. I'm just going to sew through that 11-0, and you see that sort of puts our netting on one side, and then you're just going to remove your stop bead. And I probably should have done this first, but that's all right, we'll do it together. Just going to flatten out the end of my thread. I thread my needle. So I'm just leaving the other thread there for now. So then I'm going to thread my needle. Like so. And then I'm just going to start adding the 11-0s on this side. So 4, sewing through this fire polish bead. Just make sure it pops in front, like that. 4, and when you do this, make sure you're going through the proper 11-0, the one that connects these 2 bicones. So, we've got a lot of different 11-0s here, but you want that center one, so your netting goes on nice and straight. Then going to this one. That, and then 4, and then make sure when you go in this group that you're getting that middle one right there, like so. Do one more. Whoops, through this one, close this sort of diamond shape. Just you can bend it up to see where, you know, the proper 11-0 to go through, okay? So this is what you're going to do all the way down to the end. And then whatever, you know, you should maybe have a little bit of thread left over, and you can just sew that thread in at this point. Or you can leave, if you have a lot more thread left over, you can leave it and maybe use it at the end, or, you know, use it for your drops or whatever. But just want you to get down to the end and do the exact same thing. Now, at this point, you have the Elizabeth I necklace, which I never made. So if you just want the necklace to go with the bracelet, the original bracelet, which is just this with the netting on it, then, you know, by all means, you can stop here very easily. That's why I said, you know, in the intro, there are different places you can stop and have a pretty necklace. All right, so get that done and then come on back and we'll continue. Do the last bit with you. So here, my last 4 11-0s, just going to sew through that original bead right in between those two pearls at the top. And now all your netting is on. You can give it a little pull like that, and you know, you should be pretty good. You should start curving, so when I put it here, you see that it's just going to start, it'll be a nice little curve. All right, so at this point, you can sew these threads, sew your thread in, so you don't have so many threads going around. So you're just only what you're going to do is keep those original like 12 to 14 inch threads that you had on, and sew in any other threads, and then we're going to start adding these pretty chatons. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back. So we are ready to put on our bezels. So here are my 2 threads that I have for later. I'm just going to put this one behind me. I'm picking up my piece. I'm just going to sew through 4 of the netting beads. So you see how I have my little corner beads and then the 4 netting beads? Just the 4 netting beads. Probably doesn't really matter which 4 netting beads you start with, because you're going to just be going around. So I'm just starting there. I'm going to pick up a fire polish bead, the 2mm fire polish, and I'm going to sew through the next 4 netting beads, not that center one, just the next 4 netting beads. It's going to place a fire polish bead on top of the previous one on the bottom of my necklace, so this part of the necklace. I'm going to pick up another fire polish bead. I'm exiting the 4 netting beads. I'm going to sew through the next 4 netting beads. And this is going to make it so easy to get your bugle beads on. Fire polish bead, just through the 4 netting beads we put on. Like that. Fire polish bead through the next 4 netting beads. And the fire polish if you can get it. If you can't, just do it after. Just make sure you're not getting stuck on anything. And then through this original fire polish we put on, I'll move my thumb in a second. So I have these 4 netting beads that I placed, 4 fire polish beads that I placed, 2 on the bottom. I have 1 on each of the other beads going around the other way. So I'm just going to let you get to that point and then come on back and we'll put on the bugle beads. On the bugle beads and the 15-0s. So I've changed color just so you can see what I'm doing a little easier. So 15-0, bugle bead, 15-0, just go through that fire polish bead. So you're skipping everything, go through the next fire polish bead. How easy, right? 15-0, bugle bead, 15-0, through the next fire polish bead, 15-0, bugle bead, 15-0, through the next fire polish bead. Just make sure they're nice and straight. 15-0, fire polish, 15-0, back through this guy and the next 15-0, fire polish, 15-0. So we've gone all the way around, just like that. All right, so just make sure it's staying nice and straight, and then so get that done and come back and okay, we're back. So now we're going to add a 15-0 in between each of the 15-0s that we've put on already. So let me see if I can come in a teeny bit more. So pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0, bugle bead, and 15-0. So we're skipping over that fire polish bead like that. Pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0, bugle bead, 15-0. That. Make sure, you want to make sure they're kind of sitting together a bit. 15-0 through the next 15-0 bugle bead. 15-0. 15-0 through the next 15-0 bugle bead. 15-0. So see, now I have all a 15-0 in the middle of each of the two 15-0s in the corner. All right, get that done and then come on back and we'll continue. All right, let's pop in the stone. So I'm just going to put it in like that. I'm just going to make sure with, like, pop everything up a little bit with my thumb and give it a pull. It's not going to stay yet. And now you just want to sew around all the beads and to connect everybody. So I'm at this point exiting 15-0 fire polish. So this 15-0, I'm just going to sew through all the 15-0s and all 15-0 bugle bead 15-0. I'm just going to sew through all the 15-0s and the bugle beads. I want one thread connecting everybody around there. That's what's going to make this bezel tight. So just keep going around. Did you ever have one of those days where your hands just don't want to do what your brain wants them to do? I think it all has to do with I didn't do any of my stretching exercises that I usually do before I sit down to do a lot of beading. Just going around, sewing through all the 15-0 bugle beads and the 15-0s. Giving it a pull, and now I'm pretty secure. You can go around as many times as you like till you feel that your bezel is secure, and you want to exit let's see if I can get around. I don't think I need to go around again, but I want to exit a 15-0 on the edge here. And I'm giving it a pull like that. And it's pretty secure now, so I'm just giving it push those bugle beads over and give it a pull. It's not coming out. No, it's good. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm exiting a 15-0 right here. All I want to do is get to my next netting, so I'm skipping one and doing this one. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to sew through this fire polish bead. And if you're not in the same place I am, it's okay. You just want to find a way to get in this direction. So I'm exiting this fire polish bead now, and I like to actually reverse direction here. I don't know, it seems to tighten everything down nicely. So if you can exit there and reverse direction, just make sure that's sitting nicely, then that would be good. And then I'm just going to sew down this whole line down here of 11-0s, 15-0s, 11-0s pearls until I get to my next little netting opening so that I can start my next bezel. So I'm just going through until I get to this one. So here now I'm going to put another one here. So I'm exiting this 11-0. I'm just going to sew up through the next 4 of the netting beads, put on a fire polish through the next 4, pick up a fire polish, go through the next 4. You got it. Fire polish, go through the next 4. I'm not going to finish the whole thing, I'll just get you started. Fire polish, up through the next 4, and then this fire polish. And then you're going to do the exact same thing, 15-0, bugle bead 15-0, and then go all the way around, and then a 15-0 in between the 15-0s, and put your next one on. So very easy with these fire polish beads, setting it up right there. So just keep going down and until you're done, and then come on back and we'll put the clasp on. Okay, we're back. So now let's put on this extension part. So however long your piece is, I just have this little piece that I'm working on, but however long your piece is, hold it around your neck, and if you have an inch or two, before your clasp, you can adjust this. So I'm just gonna I'm exiting, so this was that original thread. Remember we left these threads on so we could do this? So I'm exiting this 11-0. I've picked up and dropped down to this 11-0, an 11-0, 4mm pearl, 11-0, 4mm pearl, 11-0, 4mm pearl, and an 11-0. So this is what I'm putting on. Exiting here, I'm just going to sew through this one on the other side, so this 11-0, and that gives you your first extension. So if you only need, maybe a 1/4 of an inch on either side, you're already done. You have a nice little extension on. But I'm just going to show you how to add another one on. So now I'm just turning it on the back, exiting that 11-0. I'm just going to sew through this pearl. I'm just going to work my way around. I'm going to sew through this fire polish and this pearl. So I'm just going down the line right there. Okay, now I'm going to skip that fire polish. I'm just going to make a right angle. Make a right angle. Through the middle one. I'm not going through the 11-0s now, just the pearls and the bicones. Making another right angle. Another right angle, going through this pearl, and then I want to go through the pearl, the 11-0s, and the next pearl, whatever you can get all at once. If you can't, I've just turned it on the right side now. I want to exit this pearl right in the center there. So there we go. Now you have this one, this extension on. So you're going to pick up an 11-0, a pearl, an 11-0, a pearl, 11-0, pearl, and an 11-0. Just going to sew through the other side of that pearl I'm exiting. Now you have another extension on. Just going to make a turn, go through the 11-0, pearl 11-0, and then through this guy. And then just keep doing that as many times as you need it to extend your necklace. And that way, it's very easy for you to size this. So get that done, and then come on back, and we'll add the clasp on. We're back. So now we're going to add the clasp, but we have to set up to add it on. So I'm exiting this pearl. I'm just going to sew through, I'm going this direction now. Sew through this 11-0, pearl 11-0, pick up an 11-0. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0, pearl 11-0. So I'm just adding a little pearl, a little 11-0 in there. I'm going to make a turn. I'm going to go through the pearl. Let's see, which one should we go through? I think we can go through this one. We're going to go through the pearl, the 11-0, and the next pearl. Like this. Not through that 11-0. I just want to go through the pearl, so I might have to sort of bend it over a little bit because it wants to go through that one. There we go. Like that. Make a turn. Go through this 11-0 and the pearl. This is making it nice and stiff here as well. And then this 11-0. Now we're going to put an 11-0 in between these two 11-0s. Go up the pearl and the next 11-0. And that's sort of my little way of turning around. And it's given this a little more rigidity. All right, so just get to that point and then we'll add the clasp. Okay, we're back, so let's get the clasp on. So here I'm exiting this 11-0. So I've put on an 11-0. I've gone through the first ring of my clasp. I'm going to pick up an 11-0. A 3mm bicone, pearl, whatever you can fit in there. So through the other side of the other ring. Like that. I'm going to pick up an 11-0. I'm going to sew through this one. So this 11-0 and the pearl, and I keep going at this point. Like that. So see how that's attached now. So all you want to do at this point is you're just going to sew around again. So go around your units through the, the 11 O's and the pearls until you get back to this side and you have it nice and secure. All right, so when you're doing this side, I just want to show you, when you put the 11-0 Bicone 11-0 here, see this little thing, this little tab? This tab is going to open and close the clasp. So if you have a Bicone there, it might be a little bit of a tight fit. It might hit, you see, and then you're not going to be able to get it closed properly. So you might want to just put maybe 2 or 3 11-0s across there. So just look at it and make sure that when you press this down, it's not going to hit it. I mean, you can maneuver it a little bit, but I think maybe 3 11-0s would work out better. All right, so get that done and then come on back and we're not even done yet. We have to put the drops on. Long video. Well, it's going to be broken up into timestamps, so you can, stop and go wherever you want. All right, come on back, finish your clasp, and then we'll put, I'll just show you how to get the drops on. All right, see you in a few. Okay, so I'm setting up to put the drops on right now because I forgot to tell you how much thread to put on in the actual clip, which is the next clip. So thread your needle with about 3 feet of thread, and you're going to sew through one of the fire polish beads, this bottom fire polish bead under a Chaton. So you can start back here or wherever, but you want to make sure you're exiting this fire polish bead of the 2 here, so the bottom one, just like that, and then we'll carry on in a second. Okay, let's get the drops on. So we'll do the let's do this guy first. So I'm going to do a Briolette. I'll do them both, and we'll do this drop. So we're going to pick up an 11-0, a Bicone, and an 11-0. So I'm using a 3mm Bicone here. I'm going to sew through like that. Pick up 3 11-0s. You can do this any way you like. This is just to seem to fit nicely. I'm just skipping the 3 that I put on, sewing back up through the drop, through the 11-0 and the 3mm Bicone. Just hold that stop bead, picking up an 11-0, and I'm going to sew through the other side of the fire polish that I started from. That, so that it's going to pop on just like that. Now I'm just going to continue down, so you can reinforce that, and then I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to continue through the next pearl. So do your reinforcing, the next pearl, fire polish, pearl, fire polish. I'm just going down the line to my next bezel that I want to add a drop to. So here, now I'm going to exit that bottom fire polish bead like that. So now I have this one drop on. So this is the vertical drop. All right, so just get that done, and then we'll put on the Briolette. I'm going to put on this Briolette now. Isn't that beautiful? Picking up 3 11-0s. This one. 3 11-0s. This is really easy. Exiting the fire polish, so through the other side of the fire polish. You're on. Just going to do that all the way down. You're just going to go through the next several beads until you get to the next space. Of course, you can reinforce that, but you want to keep going down, and then you're just going to put your drop on in every place that you want one. So I would, of course, do them under each one of these. All right, so get that done, and then come on back, and we'll finish up. Okay, we're done. So here's everything. Kind of left some of my beads around, but you get the idea. So here's the little piece we're working on. I absolutely love it with the Briolette, and this is such a pretty one. If I can find a link to this, the shop that I bought it from, I don't think, it doesn't have them anymore, but if I can find some other shops, it's an Etsy shop, I'll link them down below. Again, simple, Bicones on the outside, little vintage vibe going here. many stops along the way. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.